Well, hey everybody, I'm John Renthal, and this is a retro review of WCW Fall Brawl 1999. And if you had taken the Nitro logo and put it on here, you wouldn't have been able to tell the difference, except you were paying to watch this instead of being able to watch it for free on TV. Honestly, this pay-per-view was pretty much shit. Unfortunately, WCW would get a whole lot worse in next month, because then it would hire Vince Russo, standards and practices and a whole bunch of bullshit would take over, and it would get even worse. But with this, Eric Bischoff had been fired by WCW just days before this pay-per-view. And so now, I don't know who the fuck ran the show, but whoever didn't know a goddamn thing and didn't know what the fuck they were doing, because it was obvious that all the decisions were made last minute. If they had any storylines going here, then they basically botched a whole bunch of them. Everything was sloppy. Even the wrestlers did not seem like they knew what the fuck was going on. Like, oh, they had the storyline going in, and I was like, okay, we're going to change all this stuff because, Bischoff's no longer in charge. We're just going to do this. Or maybe not. I don't know. I'm just a fan, so I'm just observing this shit. It seemed like this show was totally thrown together, and it was absolute bullshit. So, we get a video package of Who Do You Trust? It's the whole thing going on between Hogan, Sting, and Luger about, like, can Sting trust Luger? Can Sting trust Hogan? Because Hogan had been a heel for a number of years before this. And even though he had gone back to the red and yellow, like, just before Road Wild 99, a month before. So the whole Who Do You Trust thing, and then they pushed that throughout the entire show. Tony Schiavone, Bobby Heenan, Mike Tenay on commentary. And speaking of Road Wild 99, we get a rematch. We get Vampira versus the Insane Clown Posse, who should have never been in the ring and who are jokes of musicians. Though they did great shit with their money as far as charities and stuff like that, so I can't fault them on that. They should just have never been in the goddamn ring. They face off against Eddie Guerrero, Billy Kidman, and Rey Mysterio. And, well, there was lots of stalling by the ICP. I always feel Vampiro should have had a better run in WCW. I know he suffered a severe neck injury at Halloween Havoc the following year, but still, up to that point, he should have had a better run. The crowd cheered Ray's team. That was cool. The ICP were goddamn awful in the ring. They just were. They weren't so bad. They weren't like Rodman at Bash at the Beach 99, or 98, rather. When, in that match against Malone and DDP, when he was just like botching all over the place, probably because he was drunk. But, yeah, the ICP had to be carried massively through this. Sure, they may be big wrestling fans, but they shouldn't have been in the goddamn ring. Ray gets beat up a bit. He does get in some shots afterwards. Then Kidman gets in. Then Kidman gets beat up for a bit. And then Ray again. And then we get a big old schmoz at the end. We get Eddie and Vampiro having a scrap. And in the end, Kidman ends up hitting a shooting star press and pins Vampiro for the 1, 2, 3. Why the ICP were not pinned, both of them or one of them, I have no goddamn idea. The sad thing is this is pretty much the high watermark for most of the goddamn show. Like, really, this... I didn't expect much from this pay-per-view, and I got less. And I've seen all the WCW pay-per-views. I watched them all, like, either when the network first happened, or, like, on pay-per-view when I watched them at a buddy's house, because he would always order them. So I would always catch up on this stuff, but boy, some of these have really aged about as fine as a milk that's been left out on the surface of the sun. Like, really, it's absolutely goddamn terrible. So then we get video packages and stuff like that before most of these matches. Then we get Kaz Hayashi, who's a pretty good wrestler, versus Lenny Lane, with Lodi, and they were the West Hollywood Blondes at this point. And Lenny Lane, they were trying to make like a more flamboyant Chris Jericho. You could tell with the outfit and all the glitter. I don't know how much glitter they had Lodi and Lenny use. I got nothing against these guys. I had nothing against them at all. They used a lot of glitter to the point where it had to be uncomfortable. But anyway, Cruiserweight Championship match. Lenny Lane was the Cruiserweight champion at this point. I actually did a rundown of all the Cruiserweight and Light Heavyweight champions in WWE and WCW ranked from worst to best. I probably can't put it up there, but just check out my timeline. Check out the playlist, countdown playlist that I have. That's actually on there. But yeah, Lenny Lane did not have a good run with the Cruiserweight title. Now, he wasn't bad in the ring, and apparently he's still wrestling. Good on him. WCW tried to make Lenny the new Chris Jericho. It did not work. And also, now, there were some muted chants from the crowd because, the West Hollywood Blondes, West Hollywood, the whole gay vibe that they were trying to give Lenny and Lodi. Nothing wrong with that. The crowd, however, felt different. Now, it wasn't everybody in the crowd, but they were chanting some certain gay slurs. That much I'm just going to say. I was choked up a little bit right there. My apologies. They were chanting some certain gay slurs, and yeah, it was pretty fucking bullshit. Even in 99. Really goddamn bullshit. It did take out of the match, and it wasn't just a one-time thing that they did it. They did it a couple times. The match was not very good. Kaz carried most of it. I mean, it's not that Lenny isn't capable in the ring, but it's like they took him from like down here and just said, "Hey, here, you're the champion. Go do something." Wait, what? That's really what they did with him. Yeah, we get a breakdown, like, you know, or the skull crushing variation of skull crushing finale, you know, or like, you know, Jericho used to use the breakdown that later became the skull crushing finale, and Kaz Hayashi got pinned. So, okay, whatever. The match was shit. The match was. And it wasn't that the guys didn't try. It was just shit. And then we get Mean Gene interviewing Sting about the main event coming up. The main event that's coming up in 2 hours. We are not Nitro. Why are we doing this shit? This was fucking bullshit. Absolute fucking bullshit. Sting's talking about, oh, can you trust Luger? Can you trust Hogan? I don't know what's going on. Neither do they. They literally, and I love Mean Gene. This did not need to happen on a pay-per-view. People were paying to watch this. This was not a Nitro or a Thunder. You have Mean Gene cut some backstage interviews, but you didn't need to have this when paying customers, a lot, you know, watching at home and in the arena were watching this. It just was bad. All due respect to Mean Gene, all due respect to Sting. Now we get Hugh Morris and Brian Knobbs of the First Family with Jimmy Hart, so Jimmy Hart's First Family versus Dean, I almost said Dean Douglas, Dean Malenko and Shane Douglas. So combined they would be Dean Douglas. And they were part of the Revolution, a group that Shane Douglas was part of for some reason. Shane Douglas by this point was goddamn wiped out. He did not know what the fuck. He did not know how to carry a goddamn match at all. And part of that was injuries and a whole bunch of stuff, but just his runs outside of ECW were absolute shit. Let's just be honest about that. His WWE run, or at least his 1995 one, was not really his fault. That was just politics and shit. But anyway, back to this. This was crap. This was crap. It was a no DQ match, and it was to hide the fact that really only Dean Malenko could wrestle out of this. Brian Knobbs can never really wrestle. The whole pit stop thing was disgusting. And then Hugh Morris never really could wrestle. He could hit a cool moonsault. That's about it. Shane Douglas couldn't do anything. There was some plunder, you know, as Dusty Rhodes, if you will. And then we get, you know, some weapons and stuff like that. Shane was absolutely done by this point. You could see it. This match was bad. This match was really bad. There was a bunch of sloppiness in the end. You know, Hugh Morris moonsault, no laughing matter. 1, 2, 3. Pins Malenko. Not Shane Douglas, but pins Malenko. The Revolution had talked about earlier in a little bit backstage promo about being draped in gold. No, they're not the Undisputed Era. I mean, of which might have been where this whole thing came from. Who the fuck knows? But yeah, Dean Malenko, not Douglas, but Malenko got pinned. So yeah, the Revolution wanted to win all their matches. The Revolution did not win all their matches, because then we get Perry Saturn versus Rick Steiner for the TV title. Sloppy, filled with botches, filled with rest holds. Not that I expected either of these two guys to pull out a ton of moves, especially Rick Steiner by this point, but good God, it was just shit. It was just goddamn shit. Rick did focus on the ankle. Perry Saturn did come back hitting the Death Valley Driver at one point. Went to try for the rings of Saturn, but then in the end, Steiner Bulldog off the top 1, 2, 3, so Saturn loses. Revolution's 0-2. Once again, this pay-per-view, not up to the best start, and basically is like a Nitro. Even though they made the matches a bit longer than they would on some Nitros, it was absolutely shit. And then we get a match where Buff Bagwell was actually supposed to face Berlin, but Buff Bagwell apparently refused to lose the match. Maybe. I don't know. That's the rumor. Who knows if that's the truth or not? I don't have a goddamn clue. So, Berlin, who is Alex Wright, by the way, and, you know, a weird, like, you know, like darker gimmick and stuff like that, and he refused to speak English, and he had the Wall as his enforcer, the wrestler the Wall, by the way, not an actual Wall, though that might have been more useful. He had an open challenge. It was Jim Duggan. Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Okay, cool. In 1999, we're going to have Jim Duggan out there. Well, it was what it was. So much no-selling by Jim Duggan here, it was actually baffling. Now, I don't know if that's what people told him to do. I don't know if he didn't like Berlin. I don't know if Berlin pissed anybody off. I don't have a goddamn clue. Jim Duggan always struck me as a professional guy. He struck me as a hard-nosed guy, but professional. Maybe people told him to do this. But good God, it was no-selling and rest holds. And then the Wall hitting Duggan when the ring mats were pulled up, and then Duggan hit the concrete. And then neckbreaker in the ring, and Berlin got the win. And this was bad. This was really bad. This was really, really shit. I mean, Berlin got the win, cool. That gimmick didn't last very long before they got rid of him and then turned him back into Alex Wright. And he was a bald Alex Wright, and then they teamed him with Disco Inferno. Poor Alex Wright. So, yeah, then Buff Bagwell's backstage. Hey, you know, my plane got delayed, the bus got delayed, this kind of stuff. I'm here, I'm going to wrestle. Wait, change the format. Because we're flipping the scripts, bro. Ugh. We then get Harlem Heat reuniting. Well, they reunited a bit before. Against the Wyndhams, Barry and Kendall with Kurt Hennig. Bobby Duncan Jr., the West Texas Rednecks, was not there. I think he was injured. And so, of course, you had the South being up on blacks because, of course, you know, why the fuck wouldn't you have that? Yeah, no. I mean, Barry by this point was pretty much done. I don't think he wrestled much after this, at least prominently. Kendall was never that good in the ring unless he was in a tag. Harlem Heat could only do so much, even though Booker was really good. Stevie Ray by this point was ready to transition out of being, you know, a full-time wrestler. And you can't blame him. He'd been wrestling years before. But this was very sloppy. Booker T got targeted for a bit. And then there was a nice superplex from Barry that he used as a bit of a finisher or set up for a finisher. So that was pretty nice. But yeah, a lot of like Hennig interfering, all this stuff and everything. But we get a missile drop kick from Booker T. Pins Kendall for the 1, 2, 3. Okay. New tag team champions. Fine. First title change of the goddamn night. Cool. And then another title change. We actually get 3 straight title changes on this. Well, the 3 championship matches that there were. Sid Vicious versus Chris Benoit, U.S. title match. Scissors versus the extension cord. I'm going to keep making those jokes because it's how I compartmentalize tragedy. So, yeah, Sid has left a trail of bodies. Benoit used that as a blueprint for later. I'm making things as uncomfortable as possible. Moving on. This was not as good as their sold-out 2000 match a few months later. There were some nice exchanges, a nice, knee focus by Benoit, and Sid used some good power and stuff like that. But there were some Goldberg chants as well, because we were going to get Goldberg against Sid at the following pay-per-view. Because that was something that we needed to see, and oh boy, was it bad. But in the end, powerbomb from Sid, 1, 2, 3. So the Millennium Man, the man who has an 80-0 streak. I think they were trying to mock Goldberg's streak. So Sid made it where it's like since he returned to WCW, he had an 80-0 streak. Sid was wrestling in WCW earlier this year, earlier in 99. And if I recall correctly, I think he'd only been in WCW for like a few months. So yeah, I guess he wrestled on every house show twice to get that pumped up. But again, I think it was mocking Goldberg. Yeah, but Sid is now the U.S. champion. Sid, who is almost 40, so I mean, why not push new talent? And I love Sid, don't get me wrong. I love Sid as far as his look and stuff like that. Maybe not the whole stabbing of Arn thing. That was pretty shit. But that being said, as a presence in the ring, I liked him. But yeah, he didn't need to be U.S. champion by this point. We then get Goldberg versus DDP. Well, you remember their Halloween Havoc 98 match? Yeah, this was not that. This was not that at all. This was really, really goddamn shit. DDP used a lot of dirty tactics to mask the fact that Goldberg could not carry a long match at all. The Triad members run in, Canyon and Bam Bam Bigelow, because the referee's down. And Spear, Jackhammer, 1, 2, 3. Cool. Yay. We get Goldberg there. I remember I was saying that Goldberg wasn't actually... I remember thinking, oh, Goldberg's not actually on the show. No, he was. They just didn't have him run in and face Sid because we were going to save that match for later. Boy, that match was shit. So then we get the Hogan versus Sting WCW title. Let me tell you something. You want to talk about a match that pretty much just nuked a couple guys, or everybody except Hogan. This was it. You had Brett show up and he, shook hands with both guys since Brett had just come back recently after taking some time off because of an injury, but also because Owen had tragically passed away. So the idea was Brett was going to get a title shot here pretty soon. He was out there. He wanted to see a good, clean fight or whatever in A Channel, Judge Mills Lane. He did not do that, but that would have been funny. We then get one of the most boring, plotting motherfucking matches that you would see. Now, Sting by this point was 40 and wasn't really motivated. I mean, let's be honest, he wasn't. I love Sting, but he wasn't. Hogan, never really all that motivated. And they tried to make it to where Sting was going to be the heel against Hogan. That's not how you book Sting. That's not how you do it. After a bunch of plotting, rest holds, and bullshit, you get DDP running down, knocking out the referee, which apparently isn't a DQ, but whatever. And then a diamond cutter to Hogan, and a diamond cutter to the ref. And then Brett runs in and attacks DDP, and he gets Sid running in. You get all the goddamn run-ins. You might as well just send the entire locker room out there. But then you get Sid out there. Then you get Luger out there with a bat, trying to attack Hogan. But Hogan attacks Luger first. The bat's left in the ring. Sting picks up the bat. And Hogan's like, I told you Luger's trying to do this. And then Sting attacks Hogan. And then it gets the Scorpion on. And because Hogan's knocked out after a bat shot to the gut and back, yeah, we get a heel Sting as WCW champion. Did anybody want to boo Sting? No, nobody wanted to fucking boo Sting. It didn't work in WCW. It didn't work in TNA. And when it was TNA. I know now it's Impact Wrestling. Sorry. This pay-per-view was shit. This was absolute shit. And it ended like where it's like, okay, hey, folks, we're out of time. We'll see you next week. It ended like a Nitro. It ended like right at like, you know, the 11 o'clock hour, which is weird because it was like a 2 hour and like 44-minute pay-per-view. They still had a few minutes. Flesh it out a bit. I mean, my God, this match took forever. As far as hype and everything, I mean, at least do something with it. Wait, why is Sting heel? Why did Sting do this? And there was no explanation. And any explanation they tried to provide was goddamn bullshit. So yeah, I'm just going to finish that off there. So yeah, Fall Brawl 99 was pretty much a wash. And I will probably review occasional Raw, Nitro, SmackDown, Thunder episodes if I can. But I'm for sure going to hit the pay-per-views. And some Clash of Champions. So don't be surprised if you see a couple Clash of Champions also show up here and there. But anyway, yeah, pay-per-view shit. What do you guys think of the pay-per-view? Was it crap? Do you think it was crap? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.